What's up, y'all? Welcome to the Sam the Beard Guy channel. So today we're going to talk about 7 things you can practice 7 days a week, which is, every day of the week, to help you just become a better piano player. These are, more beginner and rudimentary stuff, but they are still great exercises for, intermediate or advanced level players to do just every day. As I was prepping for this video, just kind of warming up a little bit, I was doing some of these exercises and kind of fumbling through some of them because it had been a while since I'd done them. And so they are great for your technique. They're great for your mind, just great for your overall piano virtuosity. If that's a word. So yeah, I've done videos like this in the past, lesson series and whatever. So if you like this video, make sure to go back and watch some of the other ones. I'll try and link them below. And as always, like, sub, share, comment, get into an argument in the comment section. I have seen that happen, which is awesome, because it means you guys are passionate and I get to observe. So, so the first one that I want to talk about is 5-finger exercises. So these are just little, if you didn't know, you have 5 fingers on your hand, and these are just little things that you can do to just build up like individual finger strength. So let's get a click going. Slow it down a little bit. So let's do this. So this is a classic one out of the Hannon book. Hannon is just a popular like etude book for just technique and finger strength and whatever. So one of the first ones in that book is actually So I find that's like really good for me because I start to like get distracted in the middle of that. And so let's bump the tempo up a little bit. And I can feel my left hand like kind of starting to like fall behind just because I don't do a lot of these exercises anymore. So it's even good for me to do them every once in a while just to stay fresh. So let's, you can take that to any key. So it's just a simple concept, right? Of like 1, 3, 4, 5, 6. Then it starts getting tricky because then you can do... And so, there are some things in there that are kind of improper. Like you would never, be doing like thumb. So there's some awkward things in there, but it does force you to just do something kind of uncomfortable, and that just helps build technique. So you can do that like in the key of G, right? So... So that's hard for me. Just taking it at different keys. You can even, start doing keys with more black notes in it, where, when you're doing key of C, it's really easy to see the shape. When you start adding in black and white notes to it, it gets a little trickier and a little more confusing. So you do A flat. Ooh, that's hard. Yeah, that's really hard. So that's something I should really probably practice. I haven't done something like that in a bit. But so yeah, it's good for me to like just go through like I'm realizing how less of just flexibility I have in my left hand compared to my right. Yeah, I'm just learning I have just a little bit more, and a lot of piano players will struggle with this. Like if you're right hand dominant, like these fingers right here can be really tricky. Like you can have a good like pointer finger and thumb, but you get into some of these weaker fingers right here, and it can get a little dicey. So I'm realizing now, like the older I'm getting, like, because I can do. Yeah, so that's just an example of things you can do, just 5-finger exercise wise, to just build up just some strength and just flexibility. Like I'm just learning, I take for granted, being in college and being in the practice room, 4 to 8 hours a day. Like my hands have just lost some of that, and so just like an older person working out to just keep muscles fresh and in shape, you have to do that with your hands, and so these are good reminders even for me. So the next thing that you can do in the same camp as just 5-finger exercises is just scales. I know I talk a lot about scales being important, but they really are important, and I'm not talking about just like your normal like octaves, even though those are important. Doing these in sixths and tenths, so starting a tenth and a sixth apart. And something I'm thinking about is just, if I'm not careful, my accents can be like stronger when I roll my hand over. So trying to keep that smooth. Like even on the way down, I can hear some accents. My left hand's not quite there. Yeah, and so then you can do, sixths, right? So. So so they resolve in a weird way, but I find those harder because for whatever reason, it's just harder for me. I've talked to people where they find that actually easier, but it's harder for me to. Yeah, so doing scales in sixths and tenths, again, these two exercises, every time I do a video like this where it's like, yeah, do more 5-finger exercises and do more 6 scales and 10th scales, I'm like, yes, I need to do those too, because my left hand is like just falling behind, lagging behind. I can just feel it wanting to give out quicker. And so, yeah, scales in 6 and 10th. So, the next thing that I think is really helpful to do to just kind of stretch your mind. So those are very technical things, the exercises. Another thing that you can do, and it really stretches just how you think about playing, is just improvising. And so I know a lot of, if you're a jazz person, it's like, okay, cool, like duh. But a lot of people don't have that jazz training, and that more times than not comes back to bite people in some form or fashion. If you're in the church world, it helps to be able to kind of just play. If you're in the jazz world, obviously, there's just lots of scenarios where being able to think about music, I would argue from a more creative perspective, just like creating something and improvising something, it's a really helpful skill. And so, you can just sit down and go, hey, I'm just gonna just kind of play and just play what comes to your mind. Hey, here's a major 7 sharp 15 chord, right? So anyways, that's all just like stuff that I'm just making up. And yeah, there are like certain ideas that you've done before that you go back to, and you know, whatever. But you know, in that, like I got to explore like a, you know, like a major 7 sharp 15 sound, right? So it's basically a E flat major 7 chord over a D flat major 7 chord, right? I'm just kind of like exploring that, you know. And then at one point I'm doing like sharp, you know, sharp 5. So yeah, I mean, and that just like that helps you create ideas. That helps you just get more comfortable just creating things, and that's really important. I just never could. I don't know how people just kind of like want to play the same thing over and over and over and over and over again. It's like, get creative, sit down, just kind of like let the piano just be a thing, and just go somewhere with it and explore an idea. So yeah, improvise randomly. That could be super simple. Just like, you know, you have 2 chords, right? And so, hey, I'm going to be in the key of C because I'm, you know, beginner. Yeah, I mean, dude, you can do so much with 2 chords, you know, just create pretty melodies. And so, yeah, that's just super helpful. Do more of that. The next thing that I want to talk about is treating your left hand and right hand differently. So learning how to treat these things, your right hand and your left hand, as separate things. And the only reason I freaked out for a second, because when I look here at my monitor, my hand shows up on the other side, which there's no way to actually do it, but the hand shows up over here. Well, shoot, it's backwards. It's like looking into a mirror. So when I did this, I was like, wait, this is my right hand, but right hand, left hand. If you don't understand the point I'm making, you're playing the same thing in both hands. And so I've said on the channel before, but I like to think of one hand as color, one hand as melody, one hand as counter melody. One hand is its own kind of instrument, like an EG1, right? Like they're not playing a ton of chords, they're playing lines, they're creating color and tonality and whatever. And then the other hand is the one kind of it's the building block or the foundation of what you're playing. And so a way I would do that progression, like C, F, C, F, C, F, is I would go, okay, here's my root, 5th, and 3rd, right? And so there's a concept and theory And theory can be weird because there's a lot of things that are true that aren't always true, as in there's a lot of right and wrongs in theory that aren't right or wrong in the real world. But there is one concept that actually is based in how it translates to the real world, and that's how you stack up certain notes in a chord. And so the good rule of thumb is your root and your fifth, you're okay to double. When you start doubling the third and the seventh, you have to be a lot more careful, because the voice leading and just the feel of the chord can get kind of upside down and weird. So if I were to do like, I'm trying to have an extreme example. And I don't know if that's like translating effectively. To me, it feels weird because it's just all third. And so if I would want to do that correctly, I would go, okay, I have this. I only need this in one place. I don't need the third any more than just in one place. So like the third makes the chord. It only needs to happen once. Now, what if I want to change it? I could do this. Now, that's not to say that this wouldn't work. That works. But it's just something to be thoughtful of when you stack chords up, because that isn't nearly as bad as... You know, and so just thinking about, hey, okay, you know, right hand does... Yeah, so, there was a moment when see, the third's only in one spot right here. So yeah, in that example, you know, this is the chord right down here. This is like what makes that chord. I'm just doing roots and fifth here, and then little fills. So even if let's take a faster song, right? And I ran out of the grave. Yeah, that's obviously an extreme example, but, you know, I'm thinking just, hey, root and fifth. Let the left hand kind of dictate the chord. Yeah, so, yeah, left hand and right hand, just, you know, do different things, treat them differently, like one hand's tonality, one hand's color, one hand's space, you know, it's like... you can play that at the top of songs. Something like that. So maybe I wouldn't do that, but yeah, color, tonality, tinkles, sprinkles, sparkles, whatever. Chord structure. This is what makes the chord. This is kind of the meat, or vice versa. You can do, you can flip that around, even though it probably has more applicability, but you can flip that around. But just get away from like, yeah, I'm playing the same thing times 2. Like copying and pasting is not helpful. Doesn't sound well, or it doesn't sound good. And so, yeah, just don't do it. All right, so the 5th thing is chords over chords. So if you've seen any of my like advanced jazz stuff, you can take this concept to a whole nother level. But I want to reference back to the improv I did earlier where I was doing that D flat sharp 5, like og sound, major 7. I was playing an F triad over it, right? Okay, so you can treat that in a lot of different ways. So let's just take a major 1 chord. Let's go back to the C-F example we're doing, right? I can think E minor. I could think G here. A minor. Back to E minor. D minor. Which that's got a specific kind of sound to it. But that kind of helps you, you do like a 3 minor over a 1 or a 5 over a 1. And maybe not so in your face. You can just do like right, you get your stuff down here. And you're thinking kind of like, this is kind of a G chord without the G. That's a great sound, Major 7s always work. Do not let your worship leader tell you otherwise. Yeah, sometimes they don't, but they should. They always do. So yeah, just chords over chords. In a simpler, more beginner environment, there's not a ton of chords you can do over chords. But if you took like a 6 minor, like an A minor, G over that works great. E minor over that works great. C works over that. You're not playing any like extensions or alterations to the chord, but it does help you think of just to learn how you can do different voicings over chords. Now, am I sitting here going, what's a G chord over C? Like, no, this is a major 7/9 sound, right? If I'm doing back to the A minor, I'm doing E minor, that's just a 9, right? It's a minor 9. This, like D minor over F, that's like an F13. And you might actually see some charts label this as D minor F, depending on what the chord is actually doing, just harmonically. But yeah, so thinking about how to just play chord shapes in a sparing light way can really help just kind of give you just a nice little contrast to other instruments, because guitars can't do that. We're really the only one that can kind of set up a chord and then play anything else. I mean, I can do. No one else can do that, and that's actually sounds pretty sick. So yeah, playing chords over chords, that's super helpful. So next thing, understanding voice leading in your chords. Sometimes it makes sense. Actually, let's use a different example. So sometimes it makes sense to do this. everything's in root position. I'm moving around for every chord. But sometimes, and usually more times than not, it's really distracting to an audience member or a congregation member or a listener to listen and hear. They might not know what they're hearing, but something feels off to them, and that could be chords just jumping too much between chords. And so, I could do this, go to the 4 chord, back to the 1. One note staying the same, so the listener kind of hears that like continuity. Then I want to go to A minor, just change one note, right? 5, just sus to resolve, to 4. Let's start in a different place. So let's start here. To F major. Back to C. F major. A minor, just drop a note here. Like E minor over G. Or C major 7 over G to F. Let's do D minor here. Then it doesn't change anything, right? C major, or C 1 over 3. Drop the root in the right hand here, just do F. Then to 5. So hopefully that kind of makes sense, but there's a melodic way to connect chords to each other, and I think we sometimes can think of, I'm just playing the chord, like it's my job to play the chord and set up the harmonic structure, but there is a harmonic and melodic and just pretty way to connect things together, and so that's really important. It's something I notice with people. So hey, why are you playing every chord in root position? Just stop doing that. Like, just do some inversions. Like, learn your inversions, learn how to connect chords. Do exercises where I used to do this in school. Like, I have to play every chord in between these 2 notes. So to 4, to 6, to 5, to 6 minor. That helps just understand. Now, granted, we're doing a lot more complex chords, so like. Yeah, but that's a good exercise. Keep some chords, or keep your chords in between 2 notes, and force yourself to learn some of the inversions. All right, so the last thing that you can do to just improve your playing is don't be afraid to record yourself and listen back. And so I do this all the time, where I listen back to something I do and just kind of fairly evaluate myself. Like, I'm not perfect. I'm a good player, but I'm not perfect, and I make mistakes, or I think something works and then something in hindsight doesn't. So I'm going to do that with y'all. I'm going to listen back to something I did last week, just maybe a minute or so, and kind of talk about what I didn't like, what I did like. I haven't listened to this yet, so I actually don't know what's.
There was a moment when the lights went out, when death declared its victory. The King of love had given up his life, the darkest day in history. And there are.
See, I rushed that phrase. I went,
On the cross that made us sinners, for every curse his blood atoned. One final breath and it was finished, but not the end.
See, that fill sounded like I tried to start something and then didn't do anything.
One final breath and it was finished. But not
It was out of time. I didn't like it. Let's hear this part.
for the earth began to shake, and the veil was torn. With sacrifice was made, as the heavens roar. Lift this up, sing all hail. And all hail King Jesus. And all.
So anyways, yeah, I mean, that's not a lot to go off of, but there are a few things in there I'm like, I didn't like that. And so I think it's important for us to be honest with ourselves about where we're at and what we're doing. You know, we do stupid things as players, and we're not perfect, and we make mistakes. And so, yeah, hopefully these things were helpful. You know, we talked about some technique. We talked about more technique, more mental stuff and mind stuff, more conceptual stuff, how to just be critical about yourself in a good way. Yeah, so hopefully all that was helpful. If not, man, I'm proud of you for still being here. But yeah, leave a comment below if you have any questions or, you know, didn't like something or disagree or whatever. But like, share, sub, all the things. Thank you all for watching, and I will see y'all later.